Good evening. Welcome to the Learning Pro Live. My name's Cath Ellis, and today we are going to talk about being authentic, the benefits of being authentic in our videos. And when I was thinking about this topic, the one person that came to mind was this gentleman, James Bevelander.
Hello.
Bevelander. I think went and did it. Straight away.
It's a tongue twister. You said it too many times. You were right the first time.
I asked James how to pronounce his surname, and then I went and stuffed it up. James, I've known you now for what, 4 years, something like that, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
We kind of met at LearnX, and just kind of had a natter. We bonded over animated motion graphics, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
What was that? Kyrgyzstan, or what was it called?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think my memory doesn't go back that far, but yeah.
No.
But
anyway,
I do remember chatting about a couple of projects that you were working on at the time, and I was blown away by the work you were doing. And you said you didn't really know much about motion graphics, but yeah, the stuff you do is really good.
Stop it. It's all about you, because when I was thinking about this topic, authenticity, you were the one who I wanted to come on and talk. So why don't you introduce yourself, James, for anyone who's maybe tuning in who doesn't know you. Let us, tell us about yourself, how you got in this game and what you're doing, etc.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan of the show. You've had some great guests, so I'm honoured to be here. But my name is James Bevelander. I guess I've been in the L&D world for almost 20 years, which is really showing my age. And I guess over that time, I've worked in a whole heap of different roles, but I'll talk mainly around the video side of things, which is my greatest passion. I guess before 2007, I was predominantly a Flash developer, a Flash designer. And I guess after the writing was on the wall with Flash, I kind of made the move into motion graphics, into video and that side of things within L&D. So I guess for the last, 10, 13 years, pretty much my day-to-day has been, either graphic design, video production, animation, a little bit of ad hoc ID along the way, that sort of stuff. But my real passion is video and motion graphics. But for me, I just, absolutely love video, and I love the video within the L&D space, because it's one of those few areas where you get to wear so many hats. Like, I can be a director one day, I can be a scriptwriter another day, I can be, rolling up my sleeves and editing or animating, or you sort of get to do that whole end to end, which I don't really know there's that many fields where you get to do that. Like, I've got a few friends who in the the marketing world, and they're very much in the box. Like, they're probably great at what they do, and they might rise up to be a creative director, but I get to be a creative director and the guy that holds the boom mic, and I get to do it all. It's great. So for me, I love the L&D space for that reason, and I absolutely love video, and I think there's so much you can do with video, and it's the perfect medium for training and to dropping into so many situations. And so I guess that's a bit of a nutshell.
I think one of the things that has always always stood out about you is the lack of stuffiness. I love how genuine the videos are that you create. I think in our kind of industry, I don't do any of them. I don't do any of these kind of videos now, but when I worked for an agency, we used to have to make these talking heads, introducing people to courses, and you'd have people go, "Oh, I need there to be an introduction video at the beginning of the course," and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so bad." And not only the way that you create your own content on LinkedIn and, you know, you have a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of work, and I won't name any names until you want to mention any names, but, you know, James worked for a huge organization and was in charge of creating videos, and they all had so much personality. And James is just really fun. You know, I'd see things with like lightning bolts coming and, you know, just lots of added value on top of the videos, James, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I just love that.
Yeah, and we were sort of chatting briefly off air just around, I guess, what is your general run-of-the-mill kind of corporate video? And I
Yeah.
guess it's very easy to tick the box. It's very easy because it's the same with e-learning. Stakeholders or clients or whoever will come to you and say, I need this piece of e-learning, I need a video, and it needs to look like this. So they've got a preconception in your mind, and often it's not the best, or what the idea they have is maybe half-baked or could be pushed further. And I think for me, I'm not the sort of person that just will take something and run with it as is without at least exploring the options of making it creative. Because like really, if something's creative, it's, you know, it's going to have that memory hook. If somebody sees something that hasn't been done a million times, and it could be the best talking head video of the CEO, but if he's done 10 of those in the last month, it's just noise. And I think within big organizations, I've worked in quite a few big organizations over the last 20 years, that sometimes comms departments, sometimes L&D departments just fall into the rut of just doing the same thing over and over, because you can do it rapidly, but you're just pushing out noise. And I think also, in, you know, over that time, particularly in the last 5 or 10 years, like social media has just exploded. The amount of awesome content, the amount of awesome learning content you can get on YouTube, this, you know, stuff you create, there's just so much good stuff out there that it's not an excuse just to serve up something that's bland or, you know, is just ticking the box. I think, yeah, and personally, I'd get bored if I was just doing those talking head videos or whatever. And sometimes, you know, you do have to do the talking head video, but then you kind of think of ways of how that can be interesting, or at least you know, palatable. It's not running for 7 minutes, because you know, I've had some briefs where people say, I want a 7-minute video, because they've seen that Joe Bloggs down the hall, who's a GM, he did a 7-minute video. Everyone, you know, was licking his boots around how amazing it was, and this person thinks I have to do the same, and that's what success is. So for me, yeah, I guess I'm probably, maybe I'm just pathologically a bit cynical, but I don't like to do just run of the mill. You know, if I ever created a corporate video, I would, you know, it'd be horrible. I'd be really down on myself. And I think, yeah, that company that you're talking about, so that was my last role. I worked at the Cotton On Group, and I was there for about 3.5 years, and it was an amazing experience. It's an amazing company where, you know, it's so young. It's essentially, it's a massive multinational, but it's still a startup. So it was born, you know, from the back of the boot of the owner's car, selling denim jackets, I think it was, and just grew from there. And it's kind of got that small business feel, except they're big, and you can't serve up junk. You can't serve up corporate BS. Like, it just wasn't allowed. And when I first got there, it was actually hard, because I was serving up what I thought was really creative, really fresh content. But, you know, I was being asked to push it further, to be more creative, to be a bit more daring. And I think, you know, the last 3 or 4 years working there was an amazing experience to be in an L&D environment that pushes you like that, because I would say 99% of L&D environments are kind of the opposite, where you might have great ideas and they kind of, you know, it's hard to get them over the line. So yeah, I think the results spoke for themselves there, because the learning culture that they got and the buy-in from a lot of people, when you go out to stores and stuff, you know, and they know the videos that you're talking about, or you go to, you create we created some videos for big area manager conferences where they flew, thousands of people around to different locations and around the world, and they showed our videos, and I was at a couple of those locations, and you get standing ovations and you hear people talking about it at lunch and saying how they're going to take it back to their teams, and it's a really great way to frame different conversations. Like, for me, that's great, and it was real validation that, just not going the easy road and serving up boring learning experiences is actually worth it.
Yeah. And don't get us wrong. There is going to be times that you're going to you can't push something through. We've all had it, right? We've always think the reason that the reason that I asked James to come on was so we could start having a dialogue of how to go about thinking about different ways to do things, and what kind of conversations we can have. But the reality is sometimes a client wants something and we can't push that through. So it's not the perfect world, but James was in a very unique position where he was working in an environment that they thrived off creativity. And the same way you are now, James, you're now at a great company that is, obviously thrilled to have you on board, and for your, creative direction as well.
Yeah.
So for those who kind of are in a situation where they, and we're talking about all different videos here, guys. We're talking about motion graphics videos. We're talking about headshot, actually videoing talking heads. We're talking about everything. Like James is really a jack of all trades. What would be the first piece of advice that you'd say, James, to someone who's wanting to try and push boundaries with videos? And what would what kind of things would you say are the key things that you think about when you're given a new project?
Yeah, for me, I almost try to boil it down and try and get ask myself clearly what's the purpose, what are the objectives, but also what's the audience, what are we trying to achieve? Like, where is this video going to be shown? Is it, just going to be shown one off to 15 people? Then you're not going to throw all this huge amount of time and effort behind it. But I think also, if you're really trying to push the boundaries, you almost need to, and you're just starting video. I gave a talk a couple of years ago and I was asked that question. I didn't really give a very good answer. So I'm hoping that gentleman that asked the question is watching tonight. And he said that he worked in an environment that was very stuffy, because I almost gave that spiel around working at Cotton On and being pushed to be more creative. And he said, what happens if you're in an environment where, you're sort of held back? And my advice to him is that I think a lot of the times creativity and really pushing the envelope, we don't really frame that up so well, and maybe the stakeholders are thinking we're going to do something zany, or it's just not fit for purpose. So my first piece of advice is, whatever you're planning to do, if you've got a brilliant idea, you need to sense check it and make sure it is fit for purpose. And it's that old saying, kill your darlings. If you're latching onto something and you're trying to push the barrow uphill when there's got no place for it, then you need to be mindful of that. But I also say that creativity really can show up in many different ways. So I think I did a load of zany videos at Cotton On, and it was amazing and fun, and there's some really funny, humorous videos, but also some of the most impactful videos we did were actually just capturing people's stories, sitting in front of a camera, like a lot of the safety OH&S type videos. Instead of doing those scenarios where it's meet Bob slipped on a banana in the banana peel in the tea room, silly Bob, those sort of things, we actually got real stories of people talking about how they had manual handling injuries on the job, and how essentially it kind of ruined their lives to a degree. Like their backs were absolutely, wrecked. They couldn't play with their kids. So it was those sort of things. So we got creative around how we would approach something, but it didn't mean it was bells and whistles. It was actually kind of the opposite. It was boiling it down to something that's raw. And for me, that's often what creativity is. Sometimes it's how can you do something the simplest way, get the most impact? Often that can be the most creative. So I'd say to anyone that's out there that wants to push the limits is make it really fit for purpose. And also, I think sometimes, you just got to ask for forgiveness. You're better off doing something, pushing it just a little bit, making that the new norm, and you just keep edging forward and forward. And as you're doing that, you're growing your skills and your capacity to a point where, and I think that's kind of what I've done as well. Like at the start, I would have some grand ideas, but I don't think my skills matched my ability to execute on those. So, but I think over a few years of doing it, and you kind of move forward, the business, your boss or your clients will move with you, and you sort of get the runs on the board. But I think if you're waiting for permission to be creative, it's never going to happen. Like it really is one of those things that anything that's good and new, anything that's change comes out of a bit of discomfort. So you just got to put yourself out there and be a bit brave.
Absolutely. We've got quite a few people tuning in, but they're all quiet at the moment. So I'd encourage you guys, first of all, give us a shout out. Where are you tuning in from? Do you work with videos right now? What's the situation that you're in right now? Do you kind of have free reign? Can you do whatever you want? Are you really restricted? Have you got any conundrums that you want to ask James? How you can manage? You mentioned, James, about when you started, you didn't have the skill set, and I know, and I mentioned a designer before, but I can't find it now on I can't find it on YouTube. But there were some people that we both were following on YouTube, and we were going, oh yeah, these designs are awesome. Okay, so we've got a couple of people jumping in here. So Gaurav saying hello, and Leonard is saying hello. How you going, guys? Let us know where you're at, Leonard. Oh yeah, Gaurav, go ahead. He's got some questions for you. It's really about skilling yourself up as well. Obviously you have got a motion graphics background, and that's something that isn't easy to do. I try and learn a little bit, but I probably work a lot more with templates and things like that. But there's certainly tell us a bit about your journey, kind of even now, are there things that you're adding to your skill set to try and create different experiences via video?
Oh, absolutely. So the company that I'm working for now, Obvious Choice, shout out, represent. It's a great company, and as you kind of alluded to, I get to work on some great motion graphic projects there, and just a whole range of stuff. And one of the projects I'm working on at the moment is really, like, it's been a while actually since I've had back-to-back really in-depth motion graphics projects, and the quality of them, there's been a few of them made before by some other guys in the team. That's just, the quality's been amazing. So it's made me really sort of step up and just learn a few different skills. But I think with motion graphics or development or anything in that digital space, as it's constantly a work in progress. If you kind of stand still for too long, you're going backwards. But I got into motion graphics, I consider reasonably late. Like I got in about 2007, 2008, and I didn't really pick it up until a few years after that. But I guess it was almost a culmination of, I always, before that, you know, I was a Flash developer for about 10 years, but I'm shocking at code. I'm terrible. Like I've pretty much washed all of ActionScript 3 out of my brain. So when Flash died, I was kind of a little bit happy about it because it made me, pivot to something else. But
Yeah.
I always loved in Flash, keyframing, little animations and that sort of stuff. So I think for me, like if you want to get really good at something, if you want to get really good at video, past, beyond just turning it on and just creating bits and pieces, if you're serious about it, like anything, if you're serious about being an ID, if you're serious about being an e-learning developer, then you got to love it. And for me, I've always loved that side of things. And motion graphics, like I've always done illustration for, in the early 2000s. I was, I was big on the street art scene. Like not that I was big, but I was, out there. I absolutely loved it. I was doing some murals and all sorts of stuff with my friends. So I always loved that graphic side of it. And then that kind of parlayed into illustration. And for a long time, I was in some pretty crap jobs, I'd have to say, early on in my career that I was too lazy to move out of. So I went home and just, to scratch my creative itch, I would just illustrate, or I'd just muck around with tiny little animations. And I think over the years, kind of doing those skills, it built into a point where I was ready to then jump into motion graphics. But yeah, so I think really you just got to just keep building. But you kind of have to want to do it. You have to be passionate, and you're going to suck at the start. But and I was thinking about it the other day. I almost see motion graphics or illustration or like any pursuit in visual design, whether it's e-learning, anything. It's a problem solving. Each new project is just a new way of solving a problem. You've got this idea in your head. How do you get that out and produce it within scope, within time, and get it looking as close as that? And it never looks quite how you want, but it's all those little hurdles that you have to jump to get there.
And if you're in a position where you just, this isn't something you're interested in doing, actually getting your hands dirty in the tools, it's understanding what is possible and being able to reach out to the right person for that. We didn't have okay, so Gaurav's got a question here. We'll quickly jump through this. So we've got someone tuning in from Berlin, most of the articulate storyline looking to branch into video. Budasir says, curious about your arsenal of tools, Camtasia, etc. What are your top software picks for some of the work you've done recently? So I saw the cool pirate thing you were working on your LinkedIn page. So tell us a little bit about, was that a video? Was that
so that was a video I was working on for one of our clients. So that was made in Illustrator. So I pretty much, like, I love vector art. I wouldn't say I'm hopeless, but you get me into Photoshop and I just don't like it. I feel like I'm fighting with one arm behind my back, but put me in Illustrator, I absolutely love it. So that was created in Illustrator, and then the animation side of it was done in After Effects. And I always say that, like, they're probably my main two tools. But I guess over the last year or so, I've actually been using Vyond, and I felt a little bit dirty when I first used it because I've always been an Adobe purist. But it actually has its place, and if you apply certain theories and certain ways of working, you actually can create some really good videos out of there. And particularly if you don't use everything that's stock. I think if you can bring in some of your own assets or just make it look a little bit different, you can get some really good results. But getting back to Illustrator and After Effects, they're probably my two main tools that I would recommend to anyone that wants to get serious in motion graphics. And and I think also you really have to have a passion, I think, for illustration. You don't have to be great at it. You just have to have a bit of a passion, because I think most of the animation actually happens as you're building the static assets, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
as you're building them, you have to imagine how this little circle is going to bounce over here, and then all this is going to happen. So I actually spend sometimes 80% of time animating, which is just illustrating, and then that final 20% is just making it move around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, look, I'm pretty confident with Illustrator. Like if someone threw something over, I could build most things in Illustrator without having to do kind of a search on how to do things. And you know, I've invested quite a bit of money in After Effects courses and things like that, you know, how to animate a logo, how to do different things. And I'm okay at it. I'm not great at it. I certainly still, I love like Ben Marriott and these people who work in these tools who are just phenomenal, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love it, but I'm not in that world. I mean, certainly I love what you were saying about Beyond, because that's part of my arsenal. I use that, and I don't put anything that's standard there. You know, I everything that I do is a custom character and custom colors, and you know, kind of. And if you, I mean, you can animate so you can do so much in it that it's actually very, very powerful, and not just kind of using their characters, just their. If I just need to do kind of a an explainer video, pardon me, I'm losing my voice, an explainer video, then it's perfect for that kind of thing, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
You need once you things to the next level, like Illustrator, and you're animating assets like that, then that's another thing. So Gaurav said, James, I do follow your posts sometimes on LinkedIn, not a lot, but I know what you do and how you comment on other posts. Interesting. He says, my question to James is, which software tool to learn first about the following three options: Adobe Premiere, Adobe Audition, or Adobe After Effects? I want to learn all three, but which one to start with? That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, I would say, do you want to get into animation or do you want to get into video? So if you want to get into video, I definitely Premiere. But if it's the animation, if there's no video at all and it's just purely motion graphics, then the other two. And I'd say that it's also going to your point earlier around getting into Beyond or whatever. It really is horses for courses. So there's no point learning software if you don't have an application in mind. So I kind of knew when I was getting into After Effects, like I knew Premiere, I could edit videos, but I really wanted to do animation, motion graphics. So I knew I had to learn After Effects. There's no point learning After Effects or even going, I want to animate. You sort of hone in on what you want to animate. Do you want to do those 1 minute explainer, infographic type things, or do you want to do character animation, or that way at least then you can start doing tutorials that are geared around your end goal. Because it's, if you start going how to learn After Effects 101, like that's a rabbit hole you could fall down, and you end up spending all your time in the VFX, so the visual effects side of After Effects, when really all you wanted to do was the animation. So really I would think about what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and then that will kind of dictate the tools that you use and the direction that you go. Because After Effects is one of those tools that I reckon I've scratched the surface. I've been using it for years. It's the same with Flash. It's the same with a whole heap of tools. You kind of scratch the surface and use about, I reckon I use about 20-30%, and you literally discover something new and crazy every day. And I probably need to do more tutorials because you could probably do a tutorial a day for the rest of your life off YouTube and learn something new it's endless.
I mean, I didn't get into Premiere until quite recently. To top and tail, videos, and started playing around with moguts. So moguts are these little kind of lower thirds and things like that you can save as a template in Premiere, and you can reuse them. You can create things in After Effects and export them into Premiere. And for example, a lower third, and you can just change the text and it'll be great.
But
I found the more that I get into Premiere, the more that I can. So things like Audition, if my audio is not bad, I can actually do a lot with just keyframing my audio within it.
Yeah.
I mean, and just the ecosystem of Adobe, you can make edits, save it, and then it's a live change in the tool. There are 3 really strong tools, but yeah, you're absolutely right. If someone wants to do kind of animation pure, then learn After Effects. But if you're wanting to do videos and add they're
animated elements.
But
I think I also love, pure animation is obviously just After Effects, but I've done a lot of stuff where it's a combo of video and animation or whatever. I'm actually working on a video at the moment, which is some live action footage. It's a bit of a side project with like little animated characters walking around. So you actually need both those tools. I mean, you could technically do it all in After Effects, but it's actually works to have that mix. And as you said, Adobe programs are great because you do something in one program and it updates in the other. But,
absolutely. Razor's out in Dubai, so she said motion graphics, kinetic typography are also interesting to watch. I forgot who I was talking to the other day. Oh, Devlin Peck. I was talking about kinetic typography and how some of it is really, really good. I mean, it's been around for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
Can be really effective. And again, this is being able to use tools like After Effects that you can keep. I mean, the keyframing is I'm right. It's not Premiere Pro. It's After Effects.
You can do keyframing in Premiere, but it's horrible. It's almost so bad, like they're trying to push you into After Effects. But but the thing about After Effects is, like, I guess the learning curve is quite steep at the start, but once you get over that, it's a world of opportunities because you can do so much, and every single function in there, so every single option on a layer, it basically has the ability to keyframe or to control. So if you throw in a filter, you can keyframe that. So whether it's a gradient, so you can move it, or if you want something to fade in, you can manually control that. So basically, the thing about it is there's controls on absolutely everything. So it's if you want to create a certain look, you pretty much know when you go into After Effects, you can do that. You might just have to learn a few tutorials, but cool.
Show this because I've actually been doing a lot of courses through Motion Design School, and we mentioned Ben Marriott before. He's actually got a course on here, I'm pretty sure. But you can basically jump on this, and there's a number of free courses that you can do. And, things like, I mean, this guy here, Marcus Magnuson, is really, really good. He did have his own set of tutorials that I think Melissa Milloway introduced in her newsletter a couple of years ago. And he's now part of this team. So his stuff is really, really great. as far as learning basics, you know, things like a walk cycle and I love James Curran, you know, do you know this guy?
No, I don't. No.
No? You'll know it if let me see if it's in the trailer here.
What kind of loops? All the loops. There's walking loops, running loops, bouncing loops, swinging loops, zooming loops, spinning loops, smoking loops, clicking loops, 2D loops, 3D loops, and somewhere in between. Loops and loops and loops and loops and all the looping loops. Enroll on Animated Loops with James Curran at motiondesign.school.
So, you know, if you did something like that, you're learning a lot of these really important, you know, all the different physics and things like that that you'd apply in After Effects. I don't know if physics is the right word, but he's certainly covering a lot of things. But there are actually a number of them that are free. So this is a great one that you could do if you're interested in learning a little bit about After Effects, and you create this little animation. So I know I see this everywhere. So you know, there's different things that different tools use.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a really good reminder, because actually, I guess when I was first started and had been using it for about a year, like it was at the time where I wanted to change roles, go to a different organisation, because I'd been in the same one for about 8 years. So I wanted to create a trailer, so a show reel, and at that point it was quite shallow. It was just had work stuff from that workplace. So I actually did a whole stack of those little tutorials and a few others, and just little scraps of paper that I'd come up with ideas of little animations I want to do. And yeah, basically created like 10 short little, 5-second videos, and you stitch them all together. And in that process, I learned so much. I got to create some really, really cool stuff. But yeah, it was just a really good way to shape that learning experience. So I guess, yeah, if you are looking to learn something, it's probably a good place just to think about creating a show reel, because then you work out what's that, and while you're doing it, you're working out what's the style that you like, what's the style you want to create, and it will help you define that while you're learning, which is really important, I think.
Yeah. I even learned quite a lot while I was trying to build my own personal brand, so how to do that lower third, and going into YouTube and just watching tutorials, and how to do an intro video and little bits and bobs like that.
Yeah.
So Gaurav also said, I'm an e-learning instructional designer trying to upskill myself with video editing. Okay, that's cool. I thought he had something else, but I don't think he does. Razor says, do you have presets ready for animations, or do you animate from scratch? Any favorites? And she said, I love the Adobe ecosystem. Making use of the libraries and assets where everything automatically updates saves a lot of time. Luke's saying hello, and so is Jatin. So, I'll say from my perspective that I use a lot of templates. I use things like Video Hive, and I'll just share that because that's the way that I get around. Bear with me. That's the way that I get around building bits and bobs, whether it's for myself or whether it's for a client. You can purchase a commercial license to use certain things,
and it just makes sense. Like I use Video Hive as well, so I would mainly use it for elements. So if I'm creating, I created like a whole heap of different cartoon type videos a few years ago that would have character running off screen and that little puff of smoke coming up. So instead of animating that puff of smoke, these sort of things here, instead of animating that frame by frame, it'd take you forever. Whereas here for $30, you can buy 140 really cool things. So for me, that's a really great way to speed up your workflow, is if a client or the project you need needs a puff of smoke, like a cartoon style puff of smoke, you could do that yourself frame by frame, and it'll take you a week, or just buy a pack. And
Absolutely.
I've seen you use some stuff as well, having your Cath around, like just for intros and things like that. Which,
I mean, I downloaded a little one. I downloaded a little one the other day that I was just playing around with, which was just this little intro. So let's see. I'm not sure if it just takes a second to start. What are you doing? So, I was just playing around with that, and I just stuck it on my YouTube channel. I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. I want to show people what exactly I'm trying to do with the Learning Pro Live. And I just created that. I love what you just said, though, about buying these and just using elements. So, for example, I'll do things like get little lower thirds and just purchase them to speed up what I want to do. And, it's nice because I can because I purchased it, I've got them as support that I can reach out and say, I want to do this with it. And that works quite well. But they've got all these different things, product promos. I mean, I use Envato Elements as well. But I'd say this is a good place to learn, because you can unpack what they've done.
That's the thing as well, because you get, generally when you buy something, you get the whole AE file, the After Effects file, so you can open it up, you can really see what they've done. And for me, that's, even having used the tool for over 10 years or whatever it is, sometimes you learn so much just from picking up someone else's program and going through, even if it's just a different way of working, and go, oh wow, they use that filter there, oh, that's really cool, I never thought of that. That's one of the side benefits of purchasing off here.
And obviously treatments, like you just said, adding treatments on top of it as well. So some people I know are not going to be into this. They're going to be like, I'm never going to make videos, it's not my thing. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the way you develop content, even just your personal brand, how playful it is, and how you are, we talked a little bit before we went live, and I said that you really encouraged me with your videos that you created. You weren't creating this fancy environment, your videos were shot just in your house. You added a lot of embellishments onto it, nice sound effects, nice. I'm going to try and bring one up. Let me see if I can bring one up, so I can show what I'm talking about.
There's been some dodgy ones over the journey. Just choose one of the good ones.
I'll choose a good one. Choose a good one. No, they're all good. Just bear with me a moment. And for me, I'm not very confident in front of the camera. I don't particularly like it.
No, I'm kind of the same, but I guess for me, and the reason I almost started doing it is because, I did want to build a bit of a personal brand, because in a way it's almost, a bit of insurance on your career, insurance on your future. I'm just getting your name out there, and you get to meet a whole heap of cool people and collaborate and stuff like that. But also building personal brand was like, because even though I've been able to create some really cool creative content over the journey for other people. I've never really done it for myself that much, and to be completely unchained and to write scripts that I don't have to put through review. You know, people go, oh, we should tone it down there, or you've referenced stuff that's too niche, it's too pop culture. For me, it was like the opposite. I like this videos I create on LinkedIn. You know, I know a lot of people say you should be putting out value content for other people, but for me, it was almost like an activity and just letting myself go and just having fun. And yeah, and if other people sort of have fun along the way, then that's amazing. But yeah, I guess that's almost why I started the journey. I started posting regularly about this time last year, and I committed to uploading a video a week. That's kind of fallen off a little bit in recent times, but it was, yeah, it's just been really good. Now I've got a sort of little library of videos that I sort of look back on and just go, that was, yeah, so much fun to do. And it's also really just sharpened your mind on how to, the process around scripting and coming up with ideas, and also creating stuff that audiences like, and looking at audience reaction and moving towards that. So you learn a whole heap of stuff.
But you've been doing you've had your own little, I'd say, little personal brand for a while. I'm going to share this because this is what I'm talking about with James, right? See this little dude here? James has used this for a couple of years, and it's just his little guy, you know.
He's my player.
He's a what?
He's my little player.
He's your little player.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like, I love the crown. I love how fun you've created it, you know, and I love how it's followed your content, you know. So if I look at this, I don't know why there's not audio here. Hang on. Let me see if I can share it again. Share audio.
Photo that was used.
Oh, shut up and just get on with the video.
No, sorry. Well, anyway, my session was titled Unleashing Creativity with Video. During the session, I mapped out the steps needed to execute an attention-grabbing video.
So, you know, I love how you're not super serious, right? You have a lot of fun. You're just really relaxed. You obviously do your video, then you take it into post-production, and you edit it up and play around with it like your little, shut up. You know?
This isn't me actually talking. This is just a promo photo that was used.
Oh, shut up and just get on with the video.
No.
You know. But I think that's actually followed. That's just from a lot of the content that I've seen of yours. It is very humorous. You know, you don't overthink things, and I actually like how not controversial you are, but I do love your posts and how they do stir up a little bit. You know, like the good old color picker the other day.
Yeah. It's always good to throw a little Trump post up there. Always gets a good reaction. But yeah, I guess for me as well, and maybe this goes back to my point I said earlier, that I guess in a way that I don't know whether I'm a little bit cynical or whatever, but I kind of like to poke fun, and like I definitely don't take myself too seriously. And I think definitely on LinkedIn has gone through a bit of a journey in the last, especially the last couple of years, where I think it was a lot of the content that was going up there was all just very nice. Like, look, our team won an award for the best, the best whatever, some obscure award about accounting or something like that, and it was just fluff. So I think if you can do stuff that just goes beyond the normal, then you can stand out. And I think it's starting to mature now, and there's a lot of really good content creators up there that I learn from and love watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you've got, you know, like James, you've obviously got things that, you know, that attract you, certain styles like video games. I presume that that's just part of you. This is things that you like, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I won't show it because it's got your little ones in it. But you know, you've obviously got. I didn't even click that. You've obviously got styles that you see, and that's all I do, guys. Like we're not reinventing the wheel with a lot of this stuff. It's things that we've seen, it's cool ideas, and it's going, how can I take some of that and how can I make it my own? You know,
And
in whatever tool I've got, I can use.
And I guess like scrolling through there, and I haven't done that for a while, but like looking at all the videos, there's a common thread that most of them, there's like that pop culture reference. And I know this is sort of hard to bring into the L&D world all the time, but I think, you know, sometimes, yeah, just dropping some of that pop culture or something that's you visually kind of get straight away is a really good way of cutting through the noise. And this one here went gangbusters. This is the first sort of post I put up that, yeah, got a lot of views and a lot of hits. And it was like, really, it was one that I'd spent hardly any time on, but it was just, I guess, the idea kind of resonated with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And once again, pop culture. There's so much good stuff out there, and I talk about it all the time, and I think there's a video in there around stealing ideas. I think, yeah, in everything that we do, there's someone's done it before. I always just look to steal little elements. I might go, oh, that's like, whether it's the lower third or whatever, just I constantly scrapbooking little things in my brain and we'll piece it all back together. It might be like 10 different elements plus 10 of my own ideas, and it turns into something that's really original. And I think that's something I've figured out in this process over the last year of creating stuff. It's just, yeah, it's just about picking up little ideas here and there, scribbling down on a scrapbook, and eventually you can pull them all together and come up with something that's really cool and new.
Yep. Fantastic. Luke is Modesty just said introvert extrovert moments being on video, it becomes fun.
Yeah,
Luke said,
exactly.
I want to start doing videos and build my own brand. It's for those of us who don't particularly like being on camera, I've learned that I'm better off just practice makes perfect. Just I've got to keep doing it to get better at it. You know, I stammer over my words. I'm sometimes not very confident. I do a lot of but every time I'm getting better at what I'm doing. Leonard has just said, James, can you share the best, quickest way to generate closed captions?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And it took me a long time, and I was doing it. For a long time, I was uploading it to YouTube, uploading the video to YouTube, getting the VTT, which is the closed caption script out of that, and then plugging it in through Premiere. That was horrible. It took so long. There's actually a website I've signed up to. I think they've got a small subscription. It's called Subly. I've been using them. So you upload the video and you can do all the closed captions within there. And yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So, and yeah, for me, I've been using that, or is it? It's Subly. I think it's not double B. But yeah, for me, that's what I've been using, because it can be quite tricky, and I actually think it's really good to burn them in. You can just get the VTT file and upload it to LinkedIn, but I kind of like just the look of burning it into the video. It looks cool.
Yeah, so there's different things that you can do. Rev is one that
Rev's good.
I think they're only charging $1.25, something like that, US.
Yeah. And the good thing about Rev, I've used them for projects in the past, for not my own projects. So they can get a little bit expensive if you're using it for yourself and you're doing a lot of videos, but it is quite cheap. And the beauty of them is there's human beings that listen and are typing it. So Subly and YouTube and all these other websites, you do have to read through and you have to make edits, but Rev generally is 100% accurate because it's a human being that sits there and types it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's different things that that you can do, and then there's also like programs that you can create videos and they'll automatically generate the subtitles for you as well.
Yeah.
So lots of different options out there. We've been chatting nearly for an hour, for nearly an hour, James. I mean, what I'd like to just put out there is I'm self-taught with this stuff. I didn't go to school. I don't know about you. Did you go to school for this, or college, uni?
No, when I was I did do a multimedia course back in the 90s, which again is show my age. And yeah, I don't think, Adobe was very, very young, and I don't think After Effects existed, but I did do a short course. It was like a cert. I've done quite a few Cert 3s. So I did one in documentary making, which kind of taught me the basics of filmmaking, and I did basically 101 of After Effects. So if you're struggling, maybe doing a Cert 3 is probably a good way to get over that learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have just immersed myself in videos like this. So I watch a lot of Premiere Girls videos. So she focuses just on Premiere Pro. So, for example, if I want to know how to do certain things, whether it's putting a label onto a car and tracking it and have the label move with it and, animate in and out, a lot of the time, if you find someone on YouTube that specializes in a tool like Premiere Girl, you'll learn absolutely loads,
So do you do tutorials? So you just look up a random tutorial and do it, or is it generally because you need to do that skill?
So, for example, the other day I wanted to fade out music on the end of a video. So I just typed it into YouTube, what was it? Just audio level in Premiere. And nearly all of the time, something's going to come up, showing you how to adjust. And some, and then I'll filter it and I'll go, I really want to know in the last year. And I might go, so I filtered that, and then I might go back into my filter and I want to go view count. So then what will happen is you'll start seeing these characters coming up time and time again, like Mike Russell. He does a lot of stuff in Audition. He's a sound guy. You'll just start seeing these people. And for me, that's it. I go, well, this is a person that is an expert in this. I'm going to subscribe to them. I'm going to follow them. If it's someone like, After Effects.
I also think being in the L&D world, there's so much we can learn from what you're doing now, because you're almost, you've got a choice of, 10 different videos on the one thing, and you're honing in on one specific one, and generally it's they're structured the same. So you can learn a lot about, I think in L&D we can learn a lot about just how people structure their videos, because often they'll, you know, show the end product at the start, they'll give you the why, they'll, you know, really give you a high level before you deep dive and stuff like that. Like when I'm watching this, and a lot of, most of these people aren't L&D people, they're not learning experts, they're just experts in what they do, and the good ones absolutely nail it without knowing they nail it. Yeah.
And I think that's how I've refined my craft, by looking at certain things and going, basically just re-engineering it. Okay, so what have they done here? They've, you know, even you look at this, you look at these videos here, look at every single one of them, it's got a custom thumbnail in it. Oh, that means that's important, right? That is attracting a learner to click on it, and this is still learning, you know.
Yeah.
So from here, straight off the bat, Dansky is someone that I follow all the time. I'm sure there's lots of other ones here, but you know, just for this, I know that I can go down a rabbit warren with Dansky and learn loads about animation. This guy does loads of stuff on OBS and streaming, you know. So I would say that I've learned more from YouTube than, well, I buy some courses, but the majority of stuff I learned from YouTube. What about you? Do you try and learn the whole thing, or do you learn bits that you...
I guess we always talk about learning in the flow of work in the L&D world. I guess that's very much me. As I'm building something, I want to know how to do it. So I've got an idea in my head, and it's like, I know I'll have to do something, and I'll kind of search for it and find that thing. Like there's a lot of, you know, creators and stuff I follow. But yeah, for me, it's, if I'm looking for a tutorial, it's generally in the moment. Because I'm sort of creating content, I know what I have to do, and yeah, if I have a question, I'll try and find the answer in the moment.
Modesty is just saying, School of YouTube. I think that YouTube is just a phenomenal platform. I half of my days maybe on YouTube.
Yeah,
always learning. I've always got something going on that I'm working on. So what about courses? Do you take any courses on Skillshare or anything like that?
There is a few that I've been looking at. There's a couple that I really need to get around to doing, but again, I've kind of just been doing it. I'm very much the sort of person that just jumps in and learns as I go, and sometimes that can be quite frustrating, and I wish I just learn it properly. Like recently I've been doing a bit more character rigging, which can be quite complicated. So I've kind of done a few little tutorials, but then that's led through to some courses and stuff that I'm actually going to sign up to, which is just to take it to the next level, because that's something I've wanted to do a bit more, and also 3D. Like I've dipped my toe into Cinema 4D, done a few things in there, but that's definitely something I want to. I'd probably benefit from doing a Skillshare end-to-end little course on.
So that I get very influenced as well by if I see something like now I'm trying to see if
that's a brilliant video, by the way.
Yeah. I think there's so much that you can learn from animators that helps us in e-learning.
It would be difficult.
I'm just going to mute this. If you look at every transition here and every single on how people go from when they're storyboarding their content, right? So you can see that turns into the pencil, starts writing. It's an entire experience. And I think that there's great ways of adding videos to our e-learning, so things are coming together as a full experience instead of it just being segmented.
And I think you hit on it there as well, like this video and a lot of, I think, all good motion graphics, is about that transition. And you see it in like a lot of really good websites as well, with the parallax scrolling and how you kind of transition, you're scrolling down and things will move around. You're just seamlessly moving from one bit to the next. There's so much we can apply in learning from that. But I think really good motion graphics is all about the transition, and this is such a good example of that. And there's so much you can learn from, as an animator, from looking at other animators' stuff, or as a video person, or even if you're new to video, just watching how other people do it, pick up on techniques, or even, if it's real basic stuff, the style, the setup, maybe just some of the edits, that sort of thing. I think, so you do a lot of courses, you can do Skillshare, all that sort of stuff, but sometimes probably the best way to educate yourself is just consume a lot of what you want to make. So learn from other people, learn from other industries, just pick up those little things. For me, going back, it's almost that little scrapbook of see something cool, save a link, or just commit it to memory and draw on it when the time comes.
And the reason that I showed this is this was a really awesome company that created this, and they're called I want to say IDO, but I'm probably going to say that wrong. And what was the guy's name who made it? It was his name is in here. Just bear with me. So the kind of things that I do, if I see a really great video like this and it's TEDx, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. I love the textures on here. I love the style. It kind of looks a little bit like it's Procreate or something like that. But then there's elements as well that I know that it's 3D, So there's ways that you learn just from taking that and investigating further. So see, I typed in Rosa Parks because I was trying to find this video. So the hidden life of Rosa Parks, by typing it in, no doubt you're going to have, sorry, my computer's a bit slow. Okay. So it actually doesn't have much more. So I know if I go to YouTube and I even go to the design team, I'm so embarrassed that I've forgotten his name.
It's all right.
Oh God, I'll look it up in a second. But here is a breakdown of this whole piece, okay? So what's really nice about it is they've actually started showing a breakdown.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, these kind of things I learned so much from, because if this was something that I was going to outsource, I can get an idea of, the kind of tools that they're using. So here, obviously, Joash Berkeley, right? And I think there's one video that they had on that actually didn't have any of the style in it. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is,
Advancement of color
if you
TV. She had traveled to rural Alabama.
if you're interested in a certain style, go down a rabbit hole, try and look and see who has done it. You'll find great design firms start popping up again and again, like Book in London, and but I'm using a big example there. There's loads of companies that you can just learn so much from.
Yeah, and I'm as interested, like with something like that, like I'm as interested with the technical aspects, so how they did it, you know, what programs they use, but also behind the script writing. There's obviously the storyboarding. There's all that other side of stuff that you can learn heaps from. And I remember just seeing years ago, it was a breakdown of one of the Ren and Stimpy creators who was, they're showing his storyboarding technique, and you'd think, you know, most storyboards would be just like Ren and then him with an arrow moving left, but to get the exaggeration, to get all the little nuances in the characters, they, you know, had him standing in front of a camera and he was like showing the little ticks and face movements and all that, and then they captured that and put it into storyboards. So it's just really cool to see different ways of doing something you think you know. That for me is half the learning as well, like the technical aspect of it, but there's also like all those transitions in there. I'm sure a lot of them were kind of like workshopped with teams as well, where they had whiteboards and like, well, we'll move from the pen and it will turn into this. And I think also a lot of that stuff is probably a lot of the cool stuff drops out in production as well. So they probably, had great plans and maybe added some extra cool ideas as they're building.
So I take a lot from this stuff. I take a lot more from this stuff. And then I'll even go down a rabbit hole and I'll start looking up these people. What other things have they done? Okay, music, right? And it just, your world starts, you start really finding new little gems out there, especially if you dig a style and you think this style's going to work for this client, for you to be able to understand a little bit, these people are really good at it, and even have courage to reach out and go, how much is this going to be,
And that's, for me, I think Behance, that's the best thing about Behance, is that you find artists you love, illustrators, motion graphics people who are doing amazing things, or whoever, and you click on them and they've got all their styles, and usually they'll have a lot of breakdowns and stuff as well. So I think Behance is a great tool for just finding cool styles, or finding artists that you like and stalk. Like, there's nothing better than stalking people you love and seeing how they do things and being influenced by them. I think
absolutely
that's how you make yourself better, is seeing what other people do and learning from them.
When this came out, I reached out to Joash, and he was going to present on the same event that we were at. I don't want to drop names, so and unfortunately this went gangbusters. Well, fortunately for him, just went gangbusters, and he didn't have any capacity to do it anymore. But I think that we're in a wonderful time right now that people are sharing a lot of stuff out there, and it's really just taking the time to go down this rabbit hole and being able to even try and have a go learning how to do things, or at very least understanding what these tools are and the complexity of it, and understanding that they're not, these things aren't easy to do. They're, these are all custom. Every component of this is, painstakingly together. So.
Oh, absolutely. and yeah, like I look at a lot of this stuff, and yeah, and some of the breakdowns of some of the animators and that I follow, and it's just like I love motion graphics. I could spend all day in After Effects, but I don't even think I could have the patience to do some of the things. And like you look at stop frame animators as well, and it's just like how the hell do they do that? And it's really inspiring as well to see how far some people can just really push it and get so good at their craft. And I guess in a way, again, going back to that earlier point, like it also makes me kind of happy that I do work in L&D where you get to mix it up as well, and you do get to have a bit of a variety and dip your toes in a whole heap of things. So from script writing and through to actually building it.
We've just had Luke who said real world projects help so much to learn, and Pinterest is great for style ideas as well.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I've taken up a lot of your time, James, and I really appreciate everything that you've contributed to the session. I know it's late at night and this has been a bit random, but I think this is a conversation that we'll continue this conversation.
We'll have a part two.
And we'll show some different examples of things that we've both done, and where we've basically either got a template from, because I am more of a person that uses templates to get me started, but I think people could learn a lot from that. And if you've got any questions and you guys are tuning in, I have tuned in and you're wanting to ask James questions, you can either put them in the questions below, whatever platform you're tuning in from. I've also put James's LinkedIn page in the description, so go ahead and follow that. Any final words, James?
I just want to say, thanks for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Just shooting the breeze really about a subject we're both passionate about, and as you said, you could talk about it for weeks and weeks, and there's just so many facets to it. And I'd say to anyone that does want to get into video or animation or whatever, is just do it. Like to get to your goal, you got to take the first step. And I don't know that many people that have created videos and have hated it. It's one of those things that's really tactile. It's just so cool to create something and put it out to the world. And everyone loves video. It's a medium that's not going anywhere. It's going to be around forever, and I don't think you can put a foot wrong by learning anything in that space. And for me, it's just so much fun.
Cool. Yeah, it's about just learning every day and just keep trying new things. Just makes you better at what you do. So well, guys, I think we're going to wrap this up. Let you go off to bed, James. Have you got a late night tonight? Or are you going to?
No, I might sit in front of the TV for a little bit and finish my glass of wine, and that's about as exciting as we'll get.
Have you been watching anything good?
I'm a bit of a footy tragic, so I've been watching the AFL. I'm a Geelong Cats fan, so we're in the grand final, so that's keeping me excited this week. But that's about as good as it gets.
For those of you who are tuning in and don't know who Geelong are, I actually really like Geelong, so much so that this is really messed up, James. My wife is a Collingwood supporter, and I drive her crazy, and I sing the Collingwood theme song to the Geelong Cats song. Yeah, and I do it now, but I'm a tragic singer. I'm a really, really bad singer. But anyway, it's
well, if Geelong win the grand final, you'll have to do that, and you can post on LinkedIn for the world.
I'll do it live, I promise. I promise. Well,
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I hope you guys. When is the grand final?
Saturday night, 7:30.
Saturday night.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's becoming
it's
crazy here, guys, because we're all in lockdown. But you're not in Geelong, are you? You're in the north.
I'm in Melbourne. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a shame because it's some people call grand final day Bogan Christmas, and don't get to celebrate Bogan Christmas this year. It's just going to be me in front of the TV by myself because my family hates footy, so it'll be a little bit sad, but
Well, enjoy it. Hope you guys smash it, and yeah, we'll have you on again soon for another chat. Okay, James? I may have actually lost James at this point. And if I have, let's see. Oh, all right. So we've got a flat laptop battery. So I'm going to sign off, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Any questions for James, put them in the comments below. And I will see you on Wednesday where the LX Collective are going to be getting together and having a chat. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have an awesome evening and take care. Bye.